Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor live from Dover, New Hampshire, where we've had a very interesting day of a lot of sun and some rain, and of course, like you, I'm sure, very much awaiting the consequences of and the result of the historic summit between President Trump and President Putin. And it would appear to me that where we are is a first step in the process toward creating peace. It might have been somewhat optimistic to think that after they're having no meetings, no attempts to try to create a peaceful solution, very, very hard positions on both sides, that in one meeting you're just going to wave a magic wand and everything was going to be fixed and everything was going to be worked out. It does sound like they've set up a positive network for moving in that direction. I can't tell, and I think we will over a period of the next couple of days, if the president was satisfied with this or he wasn't. You have to sort of read the tea leaves a little bit to figure that out. Like, what was the dinner canceled? That would be that would have been the delivery of a bit of a slap in the face to more than a big slap in the face to Putin, since he brought all these businessmen from Moscow with him, who are seeking and desperate to do business with somebody because they've been pretty much sanctioned and cut off for 2 years. The Russians, of course, put on a good face. They always have. In fact, after the Cold War, we realized they were a lot weaker than they pretended to be. But their economy is in very eyes, to the extent they have them, aren't the most trustworthy or the most loyal group like China. And even the few places they can unload their oil, to a very large extent, are taking advantage of them. In other words, they're getting it for a bargain price. And that, of course, became much worse when we put the secondary sanctions on India, which represents 30% of their oil. Now, that's happening even though all the other secondary sanctions haven't been applied yet. That one has, and it's a big one. So we'll get more information as the show goes along as to what else has happened in addition to the words that we got from them. So if we take it at face value, they made progress. They set up a mechanism to pursue discussions of a ceasefire soon. And Putin has sort of warned the European countries not to do the usual overreaction of this. Otherwise, they're going to interfere in this process and instead try to be positive about the steps that are necessary to get there to peace. I can't see what we lose by doing that. We've gone this far. We might as well go further. I'd like to find out for myself what's happened with has any progress been made in getting the Ukrainian children back, which I'm outraged about. The bare minimum that Russia has taken is about 19 or 20,000. When I spoke to Vitali Klitschko today, the mayor of Kyiv, he didn't know the number, but he didn't dispute at all that the number was at least 20,000. And there are people who think it's in the hundreds of thousands. I mean, responsible people who monitor this on a worldwide basis. And these children that are kidnapped are really put into a human trafficking ring. It's an absolute outrage. So today we had a chance to have an in-depth interview with the mayor of Kyiv, Vitali Klitschko, who's been the mayor for 3 terms. He's an extraordinary Renaissance man. He was the heavyweight champion of the world and an undefeated one, I might add. He's a giant of a man. I remember the times that I met with him. He was both a client and a good friend. And I take pictures of him. I look like a midget. And it's like being next to Aaron Judge. And he is a great mayor. As I said, 3 terms, a very, very patriotic Ukrainian. I'm sure one of the reasons why the morale in that city, despite the fact that the Russians have done everything they can to capture it and failed, is high because of Mayor Klitschko. But he was both heavyweight champion and a PhD with a major, I believe, in mathematics. But a very, very intelligent, very, very smart, very well-rounded man, and a real patriot, and a guy who really loves America too. And he must have thanked me. I mean, I didn't give him the aid, but he must have thanked the American people during this interview. And we'll put the whole thing out tomorrow. Well, he must have thanked me about 4 or 5 times, right?
Right, he did. So let's play a clip. Let's play a few minutes of this interview, and listen to him carefully. And this might give you an idea of where at least some Ukrainians stood going into today's negotiations.
And that's why tonight is a very important meeting. The President of the United States we make a meeting with Putin, and we hope of ceasefire, of some decisions, because from a President of the United States depends a lot. And we Ukrainians, not just Ukrainians, everybody hope to stop this senseless war.
Well, President Trump is going there with one issue, one item on the agenda, and the item is ceasefire. And Putin seems to be going with a number of things on the agenda, and he's sending mixed signals. On the one hand, he's bringing all these business people with him. It looks like he wants to talk about doing business with the United States. He's not going to get to do that unless he agrees to a ceasefire. So that looks like he might be willing to agree. On the other hand, just yesterday, he carried on a pretty big attack in Ukraine, didn't he? I mean, he's killing people while he's sitting down and talking about, we think, peace. And that makes you very suspicious that he's not ready yet. So I can't. What do you think? I mean, you know Russia better than I do, and you've been studying Putin forever. Where do you think he is? Do you think he's ready to do a ceasefire right now?
It's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yes, we do. We pray.
We hope, and the Putin expect to Putin afraid from sanction, hard sanction. Putin afraid from delivering of weapons, modern weapons to Ukraine. And if Putin have not so easy situation with this war, can you imagine the greatest Putin go to the North Korea and asking weapons, North Koreans weapons, ammunition, and North Korean soldier, because it's not easy for Putin also. Please never overestimate Putin and Russia. And they have also economic problems. If Putin, Putin told where stay Russian soldier is already Russia. It means the whole territory which Russia occupied belong to Russia. Putin told that. We not agree. We have to defend our territorial integrity, and we have to discuss. Definitely,
Yeah.
we hope the diplomatic decision have to be stop this war.
Now,
And today will be very important big step for that.
one of the things that has not been emphasized enough is that Mayor Klitschko, Vitali, this was about 3 or 4, maybe about 2 hours before the meeting, was himself, and of course he's glued to this, has been for 2.5, 3 years. Gosh, I can remember talking to him when this first started, Ted, and you could hear the bombs. He'd been through hell. And of course, he's got to lead his city. I don't think it's the frequency of bombing in London, but there's still, you never know where they're going to bomb. It could be your house, right? So he's been under this for 2.5 years now, and having to lead his city, which he's doing with incredible bravery. But you could see he finished it with sort of a sense that what this might accomplish is beginning a process of getting us toward peace. Didn't seem very sure that it would result in a ceasefire immediately. That's going to take a little more to move Putin from where he is to that. And I think what it's going to take is sanctions. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think any doubt about that was resolved by Putin wanting to have this meeting. Putin wanted to have this meeting to put off sanctions in the worst way. Now, if the result of this is happy talk, but sanctions are imposed, I think you're going to get him back to the negotiating table even faster than whatever it takes to set up the next meeting. I think it gets set up a lot faster if he gets hit with a couple more sanctions like the India one. So I think that we'll play a little more of the Klitschko interview a little later, and then we'll put it on tomorrow. You'll be able to get the whole thing tomorrow. What was it, about 45 minutes? 35? Okay, about 35 minutes. And I know his English isn't perfect, but if you're careful enough and you listen to it, or you play it 1 or 2 times, you'll get it. You'll get what he's saying. And as I said, you've got a very good source there, a very balanced man, very smart man. Doesn't overreact. I think you'll get a good sense of what things are like in Ukraine and how brave those people are. I mean, when this war started, I think he'll tell you he thought Russia was going to overwhelm them. I think he said that in the interview. I'm pretty sure he said something like that. You got the sense that he had hoped that they'd be able to withstand it, and he also said, don't overestimate Putin. Usually you want to do that with your enemy, but that is very good advice. And I'll give you the same analysis of that, having a good deal of expertise on the former Soviet Union. We were always overestimating them, and that isn't a bad thing to do in order to be prepared for the worst. But when you have to sit down and make a hard and fast decision, you want to be as accurate as you can about what their weaknesses are so you can take advantage of it. And they have a lot of them. And they're suffering a lot right now. They're also doing a tremendous amount of damage to people, particularly Ukrainian children, which cannot be forgiven or overlooked. So now if we switch to the other hostilities in the Middle East, the head of Mossad was in Qatar yesterday, possibly even today, negotiating with Abdul Rahman Al Thani, who is the prime minister of Qatar, and they're working on. Hamas has now said that they're willing to give up. They're willing to give up power, any power in Gaza, but they won't give up their weapons. Now, I don't think that's going to be acceptable either. The Israelis are not going to agree to having this terrorist group, whatever remains of it, armed. But that might be, again, a step in the direction of they'll be willing to do that too. Big step for Hamas to say they're willing to give up power and not be part of whatever coalition runs Gaza. This is the first time they've taken that position, which means that Bibi is administering a tremendous amount of pain to them. So the head of Mossad was in Qatar dealing with the prince because he's the go-between. I still won't hold out hope that it's going to immediately result in in either a ceasefire or a peace. But I think it's a very, very important step in showing you how diminished Hamas is and how much on the run they are. Very similar to the fact that it has to show you that Putin is feeling a great deal of pain. Otherwise, we would never have had this meeting. Whenever we think about, whenever I think about Israel, I really think about how organized or how insane this world is, where Israel is the oppressor by Marxist and communist and Islamic and crazy press world, and the Palestinians and the Hamas are the oppressed. We showed you last night the video of Palestinian children being taught from a very early age with the shows like Sesame, what would be equivalent of Sesame Street or whatever, talking about really devoted to anti-Jewish propaganda, hatred, and hatred to the point of, encouraging them to develop feelings where they want to kill Jewish people. I mean, that's the way Palestinians are brought up from very early age. They're brainwashed to want to kill Jewish people. And then, of course, after that, Americans. And yeah, sure, some can overcome that. But that's why you would get 70, 80, 85, 90% that agreed with what Hamas did on October 7th. So the thing that it's ignited, and I guess in a simplistic way, I thought it on October 7th and the day after October 7th and the day after that, Hamas would have had no chance of recovering from the ignominy of killing children and women and conducting an attack that was directed right at them, killing children in front of their parents and parents in front of their children, abducting men, women, and children, abducting Americans, torturing people. Oh my goodness, Hamas is really, finally people are going to see what Hamas is really like. Instead, Israel has turned into the villain. I mean, it's really extraordinary. I'm not sure Orwell really believed that something like this, the author of, could actually happen, but it's happening. The Toronto International Film Festival must be run by the biggest group of cowardly jackasses that ever lived. So they had organized to show a film at the Toronto International Film Festival, which I guess is a very, very is a prestigious one, about the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel, and it's a documentary that that focuses on a particular general who spent the day trying to save his family, his wife, his children, and the documentary is from his point of view. The documentary uses actual footage of the attacks on October 7th. And the festival had negotiated to have this. Apparently it's a very, very high quality documentary. And then all of a sudden, the Islamic extremist world came down on them. The the ones who make you take down exhibits if you should do a painting of Muhammad in the act of killing lots of Jewish people, like he did. They make you, take down the painting or take down the exhibit. Well, the documentary called "The Road Between Us," which is the story of General Noam T-Bon, who on October 7 acted to save his family and neighbors during the murdering of 1,200 Jewish people. They said, well, we can't put it on because we don't have permission of Hamas to use the video. Well, I don't really think you have to ask for the permission of a terrorist group to use videos of them slaughtering people. I just don't. I don't understand how they're going to recover. And if you would also add to that the fact that it's already been played and it's in the public domain. I'm not an expert on the law in Canada, but I'm pretty sure that was a completely erroneous excuse because they were afraid really of demonstrations, which was part of the subtext in what they were saying. Well, they got so much international opinion against them, they're now asking to bring the documentary back. Don't count on the fact that they're going to stay there, though. I don't know. This sounds to me like the Democrats in the House and Senate who can never stand up against a squad when the squad says things that are viciously anti-Semitic and demonstrates palpable Jewish hatred. Even the Jewish members get afraid and keep their mouths shut if they're Democrats. Every once in a while, somebody will speak up. Not Schumer. Schumer has sold his soul completely. So now, at this point, the latest is the Toronto International Film Festival wants to play The Road Between Us, at least for today.
Stay tuned for an update tomorrow.
That's right. Now, there's something known as snapback sanctions. What snapback sanctions are sanctions that can be put on Iran if they don't cooperate and allow inspections, which they haven't done in years. Now, why are they snapback? Because Obama, pro-Islamic extremism Obama, relieved them of those sanctions in 2015 as part of the sellout of the Western world to Iran when Obama agreed to put them on the road to becoming a nuclear power. The agreement that Trump abrogated in 17 or 18, I'm not sure exactly when. In any event, that whole provision expires on October 18th, and the UN can extend that, and it should be extended, and applied. Again, the maximum sanctions on Iran are absolutely necessary to keep up the pressure on getting rid of the Ayatollah. And until you get rid of the Ayatollah, and not just the Ayatollah, the whole apparatus of the reign of terror, the Islamic extremist group that wants to rule, if not the world, the Middle East, and was on their way to do that until Bibi Netanyahu bombed the shit out of them. These sanctions would be enormously valuable. And the fact is that unlike, a few years ago, we now have France, the UK, and Germany who support doing that. And on Wednesday, they informed the United Nations of their readiness to put these sanctions on Iran. And the U.S. should be right there pushing this as hard as possible. There are a lot of problems with France and the UK, particularly in wanting to recognize the Palestinian state, which is beyond insane. But this position on Iran is a very, very valuable one. And as I said, they've really turned to a very great extent against Russia, which is a price that Russia has paid for their illegal and barbaric attack on Ukraine. The Department of Homeland Security has done something they think is really terrific. They put together these beautiful-looking police cars for the ICE agents and their agents. They had always used in the past undercover cars, a car that isn't marked as a police car. And now, I don't know if we have a picture of it. Now they have these beautiful cars that in normal circumstances, if we didn't have our own group of communist, Marxist, and democratic criminals and people who provoke violence and people who are creating a horribly dangerous situation for law enforcement. How about I don't even know how you calculate an 800. Oh, is that true? Talking back to me. So the agents are very worried that if they use these cars, they're going to get attacked even more. What a situation we're in. But if you listen to the rhetoric of Democrats, no wonder their insane followers do the violent things they do, because it's the elected officials that go ahead and say that ICE agents are racist, ICE agents are Nazis, ICE agents are these horrible, horrible people. No wonder the attacks on them have increased by 800%, and they can't even have a police car without worrying about being attacked. I don't know if there's anyone who can control them, if there's anybody that can control these people, but there's going to be some horrible, there already have been an enormous number of attacks. I don't know if there's been a killing, but it's going to happen. But they're virtually inviting it. I don't know what else you could do that would get these people who are pretty unbalanced anyway to the point where they do violence against ICE agents. Now, here's the other side of the coin. You know the trouble that the Department of Homeland Security, the Border Patrol, the ICE, all of them have in getting cooperation. You saw yesterday how Gavin Newsom and the mayor of Los Angeles, who, by the way, was in Los Angeles. Did you see Mayor Bass, right? She was actually in Los Angeles. She wasn't in Uganda or Martha's Vineyard or Hollywood Hills. She was actually in Los Angeles because it was a political event with Newsom. And they got all upset because the Border Patrol was making arrests outside their rally and assumed that the Border Patrol did that on purpose. They don't realize they're not as important as they think they are. Border Patrol had organized this as part of their group of arrests, this area, about 3 weeks ago. Been on the internal schedule, for about 3 weeks. And it really shook Newsom up. And he thinks the president did this on purpose. But now you got an idea how to shake this guy up, right? He really is a lightweight, Ted.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. he ever?
God Almighty, if I got shook up about arrests being made outside of a press conference, I'd have spent my whole time as mayor shook up. Or how about people barging in, like they did with Christy Noem? Remember?
Right.
I think it was their senator who did that.
Right. None of us recognized him.
Didn't stop her. She got a bigger. Well, never mind. I better not say it that way. He really is he's like a sissy boy, isn't he? Is there any film of him? He was like really shook up, and Bass really lost it. Man,
If you can play, we'll find.
I wish she would get as angry about the criminals in Los Angeles as she did about the arrest being made by ICE. And she was absolutely convinced that they were doing it to harass her.
His comments, yeah.
They really get harassed pretty easily.
So here's Gavin Newsom.
He's a failed president.
Is he, boy? Yeah.
Why else would you make the phone call? He's a failed president.
Look how red his face
Who else
is.
sends ICE same time having a conversation like this? Someone who's weak. Someone who's broken. Someone whose weakness is masquerading as strength.
That was.
We should point out there that the Chiron below is a little bit confusing. They didn't show up in force at Newsom's rally. They were outside the building in which Newsom and Mayor Uganda were holding a press conference. I don't even know how it would bother you that they were outside.
Yeah, I mean, like, what?
What a bunch of babies.
Here's
So what?
Here's Karen Bass.
I mean, you probably could go on any corner in Los Angeles and arrest illegals, right?
Right.
Because of them.
There's no way this is
They're
a
convinced that
coincidence.
the
This was
president-
widely publicized that the governor
worked.
and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face. Why would you do that? That is unbelievably disrespectful. It's a provocative act. They're talking about disorder in Los Angeles, and they are the source of the disorder in Los Angeles right now. This is just completely unacceptable.
If I were the campaign manager running against a man, I'd do that every day. Shake the shit out of her, right?
Right.
I mean, did you see how they went bonkers nuts? Unbelievable, unbelievable. Now, I want to give you I want to tell you about what good people do. So there was a commotion in Islip. Islip is a town in Suffolk County, New York. It's one county beyond the New York border. So on Long Island. How do New Yorkers say Long Island? Even I don't remember how to say it the right way. Long Island.
Long Island.
Long Island. Now, I spent a lot of my years on Long Island, you know. I know people think of me as having grown up in New York City, which was true from the time I was 1 to 7 in Brooklyn. But then I lived in Nassau County from the time I was 7 until college. However, I went to high school in Brooklyn. So that's why people get confused that I was my whole life in New York. And then from then on in New York City until last year. And so Long Island is made up of 4 counties of New York. 2 of them are also boroughs of the city of New York. I know that's confusing because New York City is not a city. New York City is a conglomeration of 5 separate counties of the state of New York. Only 1 on the mainland of the United States. The rest are islands. The Bronx, part of the mainland, peninsula actually. That first island, Manhattan. That's the main part of New York City that people think about, which gets everybody else in the other boroughs very upset because even mayors don't pay much attention to them except this one. That's because I got elected in the other ones. So you have the Bronx, you have Manhattan, otherwise known as New York County. Then you have Staten Island, which is the Republican the Republican borough or county, known as Richmond County in the state of New York. And then you have Long Island. Long Island is 120 miles long, and it goes out into the North Atlantic. And got one of the greatest and longest beaches in the world. Starts with Coney Island and Jones Beach and the Hamptons. So that's made up of 4 counties. 2 of them are part of New York City. Brooklyn, world famous Brooklyn, and Queens. Brooklyn is Kings County in the state of New York. It's called Brooklyn in the city of New York. And Queens is Queens, for both. When you get beyond Queens, you go into Nassau County, which is not part of the city of New York. It's an independent county, part of the state of New York, and always had been a Republican stronghold until, around Bush. They turned and they became Democrat, and Trump has brought them back. Big time. The Republicans now dominate the county legislature. Bruce Blakeman is running for re-election. He is probably one of the best county executives we have in the state. Probably going to be a governor one of these days. And we've won that back big time. And we've won back Suffolk County, which is the one further out. In other words, further out, you can go actually 120 miles out to Montauk Point, where that beautiful young lady died or was killed or whatever happened, Martha Nolan. So one of the towns there is Iceland. About a week and a half ago, there was a big thing that ICE was using a parking lot that somehow had something to do with the town to form up in order to make some arrests. And they had a demonstration to get rid of ICE. So in Los Angeles that those jackasses that you saw who got all shook up by the arrests that were made, Mayor Uganda and Governor Newsom, that they would have done everything they could to see if they could endanger the ICE agents, or like the what was it, a congresswoman or assemblywoman who attacked the ICE agent in Brooklyn? Yeah, I mean, so that would have happened. However, this is Republican country. The town of Islip has doubled down on its partnership with Immigration and Customs. And they shut down a motion by the lone Democratic board member, they got one Democrat there, to end the town's contract with the federal government. And they voted to extend it and broaden it so that they can work with the federal government in order to properly enforce federal law. They even believe in the Constitution. My God, that doesn't even exist in New York City right now, where they have a law in New York City that you should break federal law. I don't understand it. I do not understand why they're not prosecuted and put in jail for it. I do not understand how a city council can pass a law saying you can break federal law or you can obstruct federal law. But New York has done that, and so have lots of these Democratic, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what to call them. So yesterday, I think Ted and I just demonstrated in about 2 minutes how the Democrats are lying to you about D.C. D.C. is really, crime has really gone down in D.C., said the person who yesterday or tomorrow is going to get the hell kicked out of them by a criminal there. Well, so there's a big dispute as to whether or not the crime statistics are valid or not. And I'm going to tell you, they can't be. Now, I've been doing this for years. I used to be in charge of organizing and putting out the FBI crime statistics when I was in the Justice Department, which is one of the reasons why I dreamed up and joined with Eddie Maple, who worked for Braden, to invent the CompStat program. Because I used to put the numbers of crime out with cities 1 to 190 or 200 every year, 3 or 4 months after the year was over. And I would say to myself when I did it and was part of the Attorney General's task force on violent crime, what good is it putting these numbers out now? All we do is point out that San Francisco is the most dangerous city, or New York, or whatever. It would be really valuable if you had these statistics during the year so you could do something with them. You could put them to work for you. You could use them to figure out how to allocate your resources. When I became mayor, that became the CompStat program, which a long time ago was voted by the Kennedy School as the most innovative program in government. I'm sure now that they know I'm associated with it, they'll take it back. That CompStat program is the reason why I brought crime down more than any mayor in the history of New York or any other city. It's also why I did it in a number of other places where, when I had my private security company, we go around the world, Bernie and I, and reduce crime. If they would be disciplined enough to use the CompStat program, which also means you have to be honest. So if I were fooling around with the crime numbers, I'd just be hurting myself. I'd be making the wrong decisions about where to allocate my police. So we did everything to make the police accountable, and it was extremely important that they were precise and accurate about the crime stats, so that we could see where crime was going up and where crime was going down, then make decisions about why it was going down, and then use that information to bring it down to the other places where it wasn't. Get it? Right? And what that did was it changed law enforcement. It changed policing in New York from a really good active policeman makes a lot of arrests. And we usually reward a police officer who makes a lot of arrests, and we should. But there's something more important than making an arrest. An arrest is a step to the ultimate goal. What's the ultimate goal of policing? To prevent crime. Prevent crime. Not arrest after it was done so you can deter future crime. Important, but still a bit of a failure, right? For society, not for the cops, a failure. So you want to take it beyond to the ultimate purpose of policing, which is to prevent crime. Now, if you have CompStat numbers, you can say, well, we're not doing a good job in this section of Brooklyn preventing crime because all of the car thefts are happening in that section of Brooklyn. So what the heck are we doing by having an equal distribution of our police officers or our squad cars who are going through the neighborhoods and all over New York in equal numbers trying to end car theft or car hijacking? Let's concentrate them in the areas where it's happening, because in some areas it's not happening at all. In those areas, maybe we have to deal with drugs. Ingenious program, worked unbelievably well, works everywhere where it's used. You know where it doesn't work? Where they cheat and lie. You know how I know they're cheating and lying? If the murder numbers are high and the other numbers aren't, because it's really hard to screw around with the murder numbers. They can be off a little, but they're not going to be off much. It's like the amount of cheating you could do on elections before you had the pandemic, and 2 million mail-in paper ballots as opposed to 200,000 or 400,000. There's only a certain amount of cheating you can do with 400,000. Boy, you can go crazy. You can steal a whole state like Pennsylvania. So we looked. I didn't know. We did it live. In 2024, Washington, D.C. was the 4th highest city in America for murder. I just said to Ted, let's see where they are right now, because they're all saying, why is Trump doing this? Crime is down. Crime is down. Why are you doing this? You're racist. Yeah, maybe you're the racist, damn it, because it's 7 out of 10 of those people being killed are black people, and you don't give a damn, do you? So do you know right now this year, with crime down in D.C., you got a 7 times greater chance of being murdered in D.C. than in New York City? Right now, right today. Not last year, not the year before. Imagine if crime was up. How about you safer in Bogota or Mexico City? What does it matter if house break-ins is up or down? When murder is up, violent crime is up, or it's way out of kilter in comparison with civilized places. Our capital should be civilized. Why would anybody really object to Trump trying to bring crime down in D.C.? In fact, the Mayor Bowser, had the right answer. Originally, it was her instinct. Oh, yeah, we'll work with them. We'll work with them. We'll work with them. That's until the animals that run the Democrat Party, the anti-American, pro-criminal communists that run the Democratic Party, called her up and said, what the hell are you doing? You better, I mean, we gotta, I mean, Trump is succeeding too much. We gotta make him a monster. So now she opposes, she opposes making her city safe. Just in case, I know it's only one case, but a former DC-based journalist, her name is Anna Giratelli, who used to write for the Washington Examiner, did an op-ed saying that, this goes back to 2020, she was raped. It was in broad daylight in Washington. She fought to get away as she was sexually assaulted. Her rapist was eventually arrested. Months later, he was sentenced to prison but let out. And her rape doesn't exist in the crime statistics of D.C. She went to check. I know that's just one. What happened to it? Why is how many others are missing? It's 2020. Also, I understand that Mayor Uganda and Governor Newsom are okay now. You see how red he was? It looked like he was having a stroke or something. But they got proper medication like the ones that I guess Hillary was taking that are in the Russian report on her. How about the DOJ employee? I don't get this. Who threw a sandwich at an FBI? He thought he was dealing with the Customs and Border Protection Group on Sunday, and he started calling them names. It's a mile from the White House. He began berating them. F you effing fascist. This is an employee of the Justice Department. Why are you, well, he was an employee of the Justice Department. Why are you here? I don't want you in my city. Well, that's good. Everybody else does. That's the guy right there. His name is Sean Charles Dunn. Used to be an employee of the Justice Department. You have the thing of him throwing the sandwich.
Came in.
What vehicle?
The ones they pulled up in. These fascists.
Oh, the fascists tried to the federal buy investigators.
Where did they? What vehicles did they show up in?
They showed up in unmarked.
Where are they? Where?
Right, is the white truck right there, the white car in front of there.
That white Jeep over there.
All the white cars.
All those white cars.
Yeah.
What's that stuff on his face? That crap on his face.
I don't know, but we'll fast forward here
Did
to where.
somebody go on his face?
Here we go. He's talking to him here. Oh, he's getting aggressive. He's yelling. We're fast forwarding here. He's yelling, and then here we go. Here it is.
He was drunk.
Motherfucker! Oh!
It's fucking God! It's fucking God!
He cooked him!
I tell them catch me up in traffic if they ever.
Well, Sean Charles Dunn was an international affairs specialist at the Department of Justice. Now, I was in the Department of Justice. I have no idea what the hell an international affairs specialist is. He's not a lawyer. It's some kind of a title made up so the crooked Democrats who ran the Department of Justice and ruined it could hire this jackass with shit on his face. It took Attorney General Pam Bondi, I think, about a minute to fire him, or maybe 30 seconds. He obviously doesn't even have the temperament to be in the Justice Department. Look at this guy. What does he do that? And then he comes back, and then he comes back. I mean, it looks like is it two separate incidents, Ted? Yeah, he comes back. They weren't even doing anything to him. Yeah, what happened to his face? Did somebody shit on it?
What's that?
I'm wondering what that stuff is on his face. It looks like it was like horse shit. I thought maybe it was one of the carriage horses. Yeah. You don't have to put up the volume. I can tell you what he said. I think I read it to you. You don't want to hear him. It's a lot of effing. He has a very wide vocabulary. He's probably one of those DEI hires who has like a minus IQ. The Justice Department took him in because he's a crazy left-winger. He definitely looks like he's probably drunk. What the heck would he be doing this for? I didn't see those guys do anything to him.
They do now. These liberals, they berate ICE officers thinking that, I'm not sure what their goal is. Harassment.
They refer to him in this article as the grilled sleaze. What do you think they mean by grilled?
That might explain your questions about what's in his teeth. Does he have?
Oh, maybe he's on drugs.
Right.
Come on, Brian!
Fights the fucking crowd, man.
Make a fucking way! You busy?
Motherfucker! Oh!
It's fucking God! It's fucking God!
There's an incident in New York where they poured water on a police officer's head, and the police officer just very meekly walked away.
Right.
That's the right spirit. That's when you have a president like Trump in
Right.
D.C.
Right.
and an attorney general that'll back him up.
Right.
Thank you, Pam.
I agree.
No, thank you. Also, I know you were going to do the right thing, but thank you for acting so quickly. It has a deterrent effect when you do that. Maybe these half-wits will think about it the next time they do something like that. What do you think?
I agree.
So I'm going to show you. We'll have a little fun, okay?
Okay.
I love this section of the Post, and they do it every Friday. It's called Whoppers.
Okay.
It's a diary of disinformation. Can we put it on? It's a diary of disinformation and delusions. Of course, almost always it's a Democrat because they are delusional. So here's one. Make sure I have it right here. Yeah, here's one. That of course, is Crazy Bernie. And this is a question from Dana Bash. Would you say that Hamas has some culpability in people starving? Hamas started the war that's led to, he said no. First of all, they started the war. They shoot people who bring food in and they steal it. But no, per Sanders, the terror group has zero culpability for starvation in Gaza. What's wrong with this guy? He's an effing communist. That's what's wrong with him. Who the hell goes to the Soviet Union? Who the hell goes to the Soviet Union on their for their honeymoon? This is an argument that what they were doing with redistricting the Democrats in Texas was unconstitutional. This is their IQ deficient, one of their IQ deficient members, Representative Mark Vesey. I don't want to hear about this bull about what's y'all's constitutions say about redistricting. Didn't he take an oath to uphold the Constitution? And they conclude in urging blue states to ignore their constitutional rules on redistricting and redraw asses out. VC accidentally confirmed what Republicans have long charged. Democrats don't care about law and democracy. They just want power and will do whatever it takes to get it legal or illegal. Now, this is a guy who really has, if it is possible to have an IQ in minus numbers, Mayor Brandon Johnson, who was voted by the Wall Street Journal as the worst mayor in America, soon to be exceeded by Mayor Mamdama, or possibly the communist that's running in Minneapolis. You know, you got at least two of them running. I mean, I didn't think it'd get worse than this guy. So this was his statement the other day. I heard it. I said to myself, Trump has always been intimidated by the intellectual prowess of black men. What the hell is that based on? They conclude, Johnson sure pulled this out of nowhere, except maybe his own obsessions with race. Anyway, Trump took a bullet and never lost a beat, was hit with 91 criminal charges plus a civil fine of nearly $500,000, and won the presidency decisively. He doesn't seem intimidated by anyone. And here we go. This is Ian Williams of the Foreign Press Association. Frankly, I don't care if al-Sharif was in Hamas or not. That absolutely reflects the attitude of the foreign press, which is why they completely demonize Israel. William only cares that Anas al-Sharif was a journalist, as if that makes a crime out of the IDF attack that killed him. As for Israel saying he was a Hamas member, Williams blurs that Hamas is a political organization. Yeah, tell that to the people that were raped by them on October 7th, or the hostages they're still keeping. Political organizations keep hostages, Ian? It's a terrorist group, universally described and found to be a terrorist group, Ian, But you know, we talk about the press and everything else. You gotta focus in on a couple of like practical examples to figure out how bad they are, and how much they lie, and how evil they are. That's an evil comment that helps to perpetuate terrorists and aids and abets them. Now, Democrats, I swear to, they've gone completely nuts. They've gone completely nuts. From Newsom having a breakdown because they were doing arrests outside of his press conference, to Mayor Uganda going batshit, to Bernie Sanders saying Hamas has nothing to do with the interruption in food going to the people of Palestine. The people of Palestine have had demonstrations against Hamas, you old jackass. I mean, it's unbelievable. Well, you know, there are a lot of Republicans. This is a strange attitude. I want to see how Ted reacts to this. A lot of Republicans that actually, and I guess they figure they can't do much about it, right? That actually are looking forward to Mondami being elected, because they think it's going to have a beneficial effect all throughout the country. Well, we were talking to one today, right? Tonight.
Right.
And the president doesn't seem to feel that way. The president, I think it's because the president loves New York.
Right.
He can't see that this happening to New York like I do. And I think he's a shrewd enough politician to know how to take advantage of that all over the country. It's got to be that in large portions of the country, this is going to really turn people off. I mean, this is not just a thought of Republicans. Allegedly, the minority leader of the House said this. The Democrat,
Dollar Store Obama.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah. So, I mean, this isn't just our speculation. It's their speculation. And I think it will. I mean, the mayor, I mean, I guess it sounds a little strange, but the mayor of New York is a national figure. And if he's very good, like I was, or very bad, like de Blasio was, everybody knows him.
Right.
If he's just average, he's still well known, but not the same way.
I just wonder, Mayor, maybe I'll play
this
devil's.
guy is already national news.
Right. And maybe I'll play devil's advocate here. He's much more national news than when de Blasio or Eric Adams emerged as the nominees. Like you said, that he seems to be saying things that aren't in line with how a lot of maybe middle America feels, or at least we think middle America feels. But don't you think, I wonder if people are able to separate it, right? I'm growing up, I'm from Michigan, right? I grew up in Michigan, and up until my 20s, I'd never been to New York. People that I knew that had been, right, visited once or twice on vacation or something. And so I think a lot of folks are able to separate it, right? Separate New York from like the elections in Michigan, for example. So I wonder, maybe it'll play well on the East Coast, in the Northeast, where New York's right there, or places like Florida. But I wonder if people aren't able to separate the two. And I'm sure the Democrat Party certainly hopes so. But does that make sense? Kind of what I...
No, you got to explain that to me again. Do you think that even his presence now in the news, and it's a national, Mondami is an international story. I was asked about it in Rome, Ted. People in Rome know, the political people in Rome know about it. And they're shocked. They're shocked. I mean, these were mostly people that, support Giorgia Meloni and the conservative people, but they're saying, how could this guy be a candidate I don't think a lot of people in Europe realize how left-wing New York really is.
Right.
Because they think a great city like that couldn't possibly be run by jackasses.
That's the thing. I mean,
well, actually, New York City has, by and large, is a great city. But imagine how it would have benefited. Wasn't run by crooks for 170 years, or at least 150 of the 170 years?
Look, if everybody voted, there's a good chance Mamdani wouldn't have won, right? Here, that's the other issue, right? That we don't, that not a lot of people don't always talk about.
That's a very good point.
A lot of people don't vote, and so you end up with Mamdani. And I like to point out, you had a one-term Democrat mayor in Eric Adams who was treated with kid gloves by the media. Somehow the guy can't. Right, he pisses all his political capital away, so he can't even run as a Democrat nominee. So then Cuomo jumps in the race, which with that last name and everything, he clears the field, keeps maybe other people out who would have ran a real campaign, runs the most lazy. I don't even know if the guy ever campaigned in that Democrat primary, and that's how you get Mamdani.
Well, I think that's all true. But there's an article that we went over the other day, and I've read it. I read it very thoroughly twice, and he makes the argument that Mamdani isn't as much of an accident as you think. That there are a lot of little Mamdamis in New York. That there are an awful lot of privileged, rich kids like him. He's come from a millionaire family who cheat like hell, the way he does, right? On rent stabilization. And whatever, lying in order to try to get preferences, to like Pocahontas, in order to get into Columbia. He doesn't get in anyway because he's dope. And is running for an office he has absolutely no qualifications for. I mean, the guy's never done a damn thing. You can't measure his abilities except for being a bullshit artist.
But
and a straight out and out communist. He recommending solutions that are insane, like government-owned grocery stores.
But should we
even a lot of communists don't believe in that anymore? It's so stupid.
But should we be as surprised? I mean, look, AOC was elected to Congress, and I know that's just a
true
part, and that doesn't speak for the whole city.
Shocked that she got elected.
Right, I was too. But I mean, look, if we just fast forward from when you were mayor to now, and just forget the intervening time period, sure, this is like heads and tails. But if we think about de Blasio, just in New York, de Blasio, AOC, and if we expand it, look at how well Bernie Sanders has been doing on the national stage.
The ones who think that Hamas hasn't interfered with the food,
right?
Going to people, go ask the people in Palestine.
You see the rise in anti-Israel on all sides of the aisle. Rashida Tlaib in Michigan, Ilhan Omar in Minnesota. So now we're expanding.
Don't get me depressed. There are a lot of them.
Right. Well, that's my point. I mean, I hate to say it, but yes, we're surprised, and obviously you have the most unique experience from your perspective, Mayor. But even I think you do understand this, and I know when you speak about it, you're expressing how disappointed we are in the voters. However, you've been in New York, you've seen this shift. And again, when you combine what we've already seen from the political left with the factors we talked about, Eric Adams totally dismantling his own political career, Andrew Cuomo getting in the race and then not running, low voter turnout. You mix all that together.
But don't you think that's also not just his getting in the race and running a bad race, but just think of all the things that he did. I mean, this is a guy who had to resign as governor.
Oh, so you're right. I'm giving him too much
because of multiple scandals.
Right.
And they kind of let him resign on one that was the least criminal of the scandals that he could have resigned.
Right.
On. And I mean, all those dead old people. I mean, my God. Putting people in the nursing home. They haven't even brought out the motive for that.
Right.
Which is that the nursing homes were one of his biggest contributors.
Right. Well,
look, I got to tell you this. You let me analyze any of these people in New York who do something wrong, Democrats, and it's all corruption. And I can tell you exactly what it is. I don't know if I can always do it on the air because some of it is my nose. I've investigated it forever. But I knew that one the minute it happened. I knew exactly why Andrew was doing that. Exactly. Nursing home people came to him and said, come on, we want to get in on all this extra kickback money for pandemic. New York is, there can't be a place in America that does bigger kickbacks than New York more
Right.
frequently
No.
than the Democrat Party in New York. And the budget of New York would tell you that. I mean, even California are amateurs in terms of corruption. Now, they're airheads and featherheads and silly little sissies, but they're not as corrupt as New York. I mean, silly hair boy would be afraid to be that corrupt. Some of these guys who are corrupt are kind of tough. Like they'll kill you if you go after them. So Hunter Biden may get sued by Melania Trump. So Michael Wolff, you know who Michael Wolff is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Michael Wolff is probably the most dishonorable lying writer in history. And he asserted in a podcast for the Daily Beast. Now, why people would listen to something called the Daily Beast when they tell you what they are, I don't know. But he said that Donald and Melania met through a modeling agent of Melania's. That's how they met Epstein. So he blames Epstein on Melania. So all the left-wing perverts picked up on that. And even James Carville repeated it in his Politics War Room. Well, he had apologized. And even Michael Wolff apologized. But Hunter, who says he's been clean of drugs, this would be the first time he's been clean of drugs for 2 weeks since he was about 18 years old. But he did it during his profanity-ridden interview. He said that she is the one who introduced him, but he refuses to apologize, and he is given the eloquent, very, very erudite response indicative of his maturity and intellectual level, which was F that, which is pretty much the outer limits of his vocabulary. And this is horrible. I mean, it's horrible. Now, here's the interesting thing. So somebody did an analysis about, Epstein. We're going to take Trump down. They did a poll the other day about what the most important issues were, and you know what the percentage was for Epstein now? 0. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares anymore, which is what Trump told us, right? So I don't know. I don't know if it's worth suing that stumblebum Hunter, but if Melania wants to do it, holding him accountable. So inflation statistics came out, and it shows that it's very stable, down a little bit below expectations, and therefore the crooked political Fed could legitimately lower interest rates when they manipulated for Biden constantly, including a week or two before the election.
Too late, Powell.
What?
Jerome Too Late Powell.
Yeah, too late. Jerome's Democrat suck ass Powell. So is it part of the platform of the Democratic Party to raise taxes on the rich? That's the answer to everything.
I think that's true. I think that's been true. I mean, it's something that even my father would repeatedly say, right? And that's how he justified being a lifelong Democrat.
Raise taxes on the rich.
Yeah, the Democrat Party is the party of the working man. That's what that's in my head all growing up, and so they at least try to.
Actually, it's the party of the people who don't work.
Yeah, Now that's the thing, right?
It's the
That might
party
have been
of the
back when my
dependent.
dad was my age, but
It's the party of dependency.
right.
The
It's-
working people are represented by the Republican Party.
And that's right.
That's why you have tax deductions for TIBs, tax deductions for Social Security. Those are all middle class, working man, working woman tax deductions.
Right.
I mean, if anything, Trump's affinity is for the working class.
And that's why he won states like Michigan and Ohio.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Pennsylvania.
Anybody that right now is voting for the Democrat Party because it's the party of the poor and the party of the lower middle class is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
They're the party of dependency. Or you want to get benefited by the Democrats? Quit your job and go on welfare,
Right.
and don't go to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay home all day and smoke the
reefer.
The government paid for drugs.
Right.
Or all you have to do in New York, you don't have to buy the drugs. You just walk around and inhale. They got it all over the streets. Now that's Adams' fault too. Adams was telling us about 3 or 4 years ago how New York's economy was going to be terrific. It's going to be based on weed and gambling. I don't know how a guy who was a cop could actually think that if you base it on gambling and weed, you're not going to be taken over by organized crime. I predicted a long time ago that if you make drugs legal on the theory that that's going to cut down illegal drugs, all it's going to do is quadruple them, which it's done in New York. The use of marijuana is about 4 times what it was 30 years ago. And the potency of it is unbelievably higher. And the studies now that exist that it affects your brain permanently are abundant. And the idea that it's anywhere like alcohol is ridiculous. The recent studies, recent meaning the last 10 years, none of them available when all over America, everybody is in favor of, oh, nothing wrong with marijuana. You can use it, not okay. Now we see it has a side effects, mental illness. The side effects, even violent mental illness. It has an effect on portions of the brain that are not affected by alcohol. And of course, the stronger it is, the more catastrophic it is. And the younger the person is who uses it, the more damaging it is. So you add all that together and you have 1,000 shops around the city selling it. Well, you quadruple the number of people who use it, and we'll have a city where nobody works and they're high all the time, like Denver. I mean, Denver's one of the high crime cities. Got to be, because I remember I went to Denver when they must have been about 15 years ago, and I had a little time between my 2 speeches. I went into a cigar store to buy a cigar, and I picked out a really nice cigar. I'd forgotten to take any with me, and I paid the guy, and I said, "Could you give me a cutter and a lighter for a minute?" He said, "Well, you can't smoke it in here." I said, "This is a cigar store. They can't smoke in a cigar store." "Yeah, you can't smoke anywhere in Denver. We're a very healthy city." I said, "Well, what about all those people out there that are puffing on marijuana? Can they come in here and smoke?" "Oh, of course." "So you actually think that cigars are more dangerous than marijuana?" Well, you really are effing jackass. No wonder the city has a mayor who was going to stand at the gates of the city and stop ICE until he saw Tom Holman, and he said, "I'm not going to stand there anymore. Oh, no, I'm not going to stand there anymore." And then he found out the city doesn't have any gates. I thought that was hilarious. The mayor, "I will stand at the gates of the city." Oh, man, that guy's going to come. I'm not. And where are the gates? There are no gates. Unbelievable. And then, of course, Colorado, completely fallen apart with Governor Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Is that the flag of Colorado behind him?
It is.
It looks like a communist flag.
It really is a weird one.
Doesn't it look like China or something? Or
Feliz Navidad.
It's very weird. I've always said that. Yeah, I remember seeing it somewhere once. Maybe we were in
how could Colorado be like that? It's in the middle of the beautiful West.
Denver.
Cowboy country.
What happened to Denver? Chat. Comment below if you're from Colorado and tell us what's going on out there.
Well, they all have. It's like the Godfather said about Sonny. Said to Sonny, your brain is getting soft because you've been with that girl so much.
The Mile High State.
Well,
Maybe
it isn't just girls who do it. It's
that thin air.
Smoking marijuana. You smoke that much marijuana, your brain gets soft.
Yeah, and it certainly is the Mile High State.
So, is it also true, Ted, that all Democrats not only are anti-American, but they're liars? So there's a governor. I don't even know this governor. His name is Josh Stein, and he's the governor of North Carolina. How is the governor of North Carolina a Democrat? I don't get that. But in any event, they passed a school choice bill there, and the guy vetoed it. And here's why he vetoed it: because he didn't want to give benefits to wealthy parents with school choice. He didn't bother to read the bill because the school choice applied to people that were 300% over the poverty line. Well, that would make you to people 300% over the poverty line or less, which means they would be at best middle class or in terms of income, and poor. They excluded rich people. Josh, you just lied. And you lied because you're owned by the Communist Teachers Union, which is why I can smell you right from here. I don't even know who the hell you are. I just know you're a Democrat and you're a damn liar. And you're taking away something that'll save poor kids. School choice. You know, everybody thinks that only Jasmine Crockett is stupid. They're all stupid. Right. But they just put her on every night because every night they got nobody else. She must think these things up to say. So she was in Martha's Vineyard, which is, they must have a lot of marijuana there too, because people that go to Martha's Vineyard, of course, they were off marijuana enough to throw out all the brown people when they were brought there. Remember?
I remember.
When DeSantis, that's one of the best things DeSantis did. He sent all those people to Martha's Vineyard, threw them out in 24 hours.
Oh my gosh, they had them out. They had them off that island so fast.
People around here, not there.
That'd make your head spin how fast they had that.
Didn't
they literally call in the military?
We're not gonna have any of those brown people around here.
Oh gosh, they took care of that real quick.
We let Obama come in, but Obama does exactly what we want.
What's the term? NIMBY. That was like the classic example of a Democrat NIMBY. Not in my backyard.
Sharpton was in Martha's Vineyard. They throw out the brown people. I don't know why they don't throw that crook out. So Sharpton was there, and he introduced her. And when he introduced her, he compared her to Shirley Chisholm, the 1972 presidential candidate. He compared Crockett to the trailblazing congresswoman. And then she lived up. I knew Shirley Chisholm. There's nothing like Shirley Chisholm, who was a fine woman. And then she got up and she, in the spirit of Al Tawana Brawley Sharpton, she said, listen, most people are not Republicans. Most black people are not Republicans, simply because we just is like, you all racist? I can't hang out with the KKK and them. All Republicans are racist. I mean, are you serious? And this woman's in Congress? And this guy is a commentator, Sharpton, is a commentator on one of those communist networks. I know Sharpton from the time he was a fat little teenager. Obama called up Mondami to wish him luck. But notice the communist-trained Obama hasn't endorsed him yet. He always did a good job of hiding the fact that he was a dedicated Marxist. Not from me, but from a lot of people. So he calls him, but he doesn't endorse him. What do you think? You think the prince is going to endorse him?
No. Yeah.
Hochul Pochel hasn't endorsed him. And people in Chicago are warning New Yorkers not to vote for Mondami because they say he may even be worse than Johnson.
Right.
And they said, you can't imagine how bad Johnson is. But somebody wrote that in Chicago.
Right.
You want another factoid?
Yeah.
New York City men have begun the practice of expensing dates. They charge dates to their business. Somehow they take it as a tax-deductible item to try to get a woman into bed. So the American taxpayers are subsidizing their trying to seduce women. This is ridiculous. I don't know how they figured out it's New York that does it. A man in banking justified the move as the only way to afford the exorbitant prices for cocktails and dinners in New York. You have to take it. You have to take it as a tax deduction. It's a crooked Democratic city, I'm telling you. The other day, New York had to put out, well, actually, they put it out 3 months late, the statistics on education. And they put it out late. And why do they put it out late? Because school's going to start in a month, in a week. You can't do anything about it. That your public school is for shit. So parents don't get they used to get it at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was ready at the beginning of the summer.
Yes.
And not only that, they didn't put out the charter school numbers with the public school numbers, even though they were supposed to. However, the charter school numbers were leaked. You know the difference?
What?
Okay. So,
what's the difference?
The students at Success Academy, which is the largest charter school in Manhattan and New York, run by a former Democrat, Eva Moskowitz, councilwoman, who is, to me, a hero in what she's done with Success Academy and with choice. So 95.5% passed the Mass State exams in Success Academy. 43% in the public schools.
Okay.
96.8% of Hispanics passed, who were in, that was blacks who passed. 96.8% of Hispanics in Success Academy passed, in comparison to only 43% of the public schools, which is why Success Academy has a waiting list of thousands of Black and Hispanic children. And they don't take the smartest ones. They don't do the cream. They take first come, and look at the difference in result. And this is true of the other charter schools as well, all over the country, which is why Josh Stein, the governor of New Hampshire, is a sick Democrat sellout to the teachers union who lied about why he vetoed the bill, because the choice program there is not for rich people, it's for middle class and poor people, and it's designated that way, and he just lied because he's a moral midget. So,
right.
Jesse Smollett's making a comeback.
No.
Yep, making a comeback.
Uh-oh.
He's making a comeback. He's got a new R&B album.
Oh, God.
And he, he maintains
Oh God, we can't.
he maintains his innocence to this day.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I thought he had to.
The two guys testified. If he says they're lying, the two guys from Uganda are lying.
Interesting.
They did a documentary, the two guys, and they acted out the whole thing. And the guy here who wrote this article says that they were better actors than non-talented Jesse, who's only good at lying.
Jesse Smollett.
He's making a comeback.
Wow.
So I know. We covered this from the very beginning because, again, my nose here. The death of the designer in Montauk last week, where she was found dead on a boat, and Arthur Idaler, our friend, represents her family, and they put out a quick announcement that that it was she died of an overdose, as if they've concluded that there was no foul play, or she was just found dead on a boat. So the family wants to know, who was she with? Maybe it was an overdose, but maybe it was done. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, and it wouldn't be the first time that somebody drugged a beautiful woman. In any event, she died on a boat that's owned by a guy who bit a firefighter on at a 9/11 ceremony.
Yikes.
He bit him. he bit him and assaulted him. That's the guy who owns the boat she was on. He finally pleaded guilty to it, but he denies it. And his name is Christopher Durham. So I don't know, what that means, but I do think this has got to be investigated. You just don't, the girl's dead on a boat. I think somebody goes running down the street with hardly any clothes on, yelling that she's dead or something, or she's dying. I told you that Jeffrey Epstein is out of the news. Bye-bye. So what do you make of the Cincinnati attack? We showed that the other night.
I think it's terrible, and everyone should be held accountable.
But this is going to be buried, though, right?
Of course. Of course.
It can be buried.
Yes.
So that America doesn't hear the truth.
Right.
Well, that's why we exist. Do you have that?
I'm looking for it now. Yeah, we'll have it in a second.
We'll conclude with that, and we'll tell you over the weekend. Check. We'll put it on X, Ted.
Yes.
You should really listen, over the weekend to the complete interview with Mayor Klitschko in Kyiv, if you want to get a sense, not just of, what happened this weekend or what's going to happen as a result of, or what happened today and what's going to happen with that, but just what's going on there, because this isn't going to be solved in a day. And even if they get to a ceasefire, there's still a whole piece that has to be worked out. So this is going to go on for a while. And it's a complicated situation. It's 1,000 years complicated. But it's worth listening to Vitali because he's got a balanced view on it. Vitali, as I said, Mayor Klitschko comes from a family that's mostly Ukrainian, but it's part Russian too. And when I first got to know him, he was very anti-communist, so that made him anti-Russian. But he was not ethnically anti. There you go. One of them kicking.
Finish what you're saying about the mayor of Kyiv. Sorry.
They were kicking the heck out of that woman.
Right. Well, we'll play the. I'm sorry. I want to let you finish your.
Well, go ahead. And the mayor, as I said,
Well,
the mayor has a very balanced view on it, and because his family is part Russian but mostly Ukrainian, and he's very strongly Ukrainian. His view on Russia is a very valid. I mean, it's not a prejudiced one. Let's put it that way. He's got the ability to see both sides of it, and there aren't two sides of it. There just aren't. That's Putin propaganda. That's not to say that Ukraine doesn't have tremendous corruption problems, but the problems of Ukraine are on a criminal scale. The problems of Putin are on the scale of evil. What they're doing in Ukraine is completely evil. And it's both a combination of a KGB-trained killer who has no regard for human life, and also the barbarity of the Russian army, which is historic, really. I mean, it's been that way even before they were communists, but certainly made worse by Stalin.
All right, here's
not terribly good under the Tsars either. So let's take a look at that. This is the kind of hate for white people. Can you explain that, Ted?
Yeah, Democrat politicians, lawlessness in the cities, and
who encourage that,
and encouragement from Democrat politicians and their race baiting.
Things like all white people are racist. America is systemic. Like Biden used to say, America is systemically racist. Now that's a complete lie. It's absolutely untrue. Why would a president of this country accuse us of being racist? I mean, it's never been uniformly racist. This is a country where 300,000 white men died to free black people.
Right.
We always had an element of racism. We had an element of people who were heroes in terms of understanding that people are equal. Right. From the very beginning, we had people like that. Probably more than any other country. You know, slavery is not a unique institution to America. In fact, it exists in Islamic countries at a much higher rate than in America, and for a much longer time. Even black slavery. Tell that to the black Muslims. A history that's covered up, particularly in the Ivy League schools. There are something like 500 books on the transatlantic slave trade and 3 on the Islamic slave trade, which existed for 1,400 years. whereas the other was like 300 or 400. But nobody wants to look at that. It also existed a lot longer into the modern era. Well, let's hope that major inroads were made in that meeting between the president and Putin toward peace, toward a ceasefire. And we can get there. The rest of it, you can take your time negotiating. Think about it. They did a ceasefire between North and South Korea, and they didn't need much more than that for 40 years. If they just stopped killing each other, I think the president has the right focus here. Let's stop the killing. And then everybody can work out the political problems, the political issues. And the failure of Putin to grasp that and to accept that confirms to me my first instinct when I met that man, which is that he's a stone cold killer who has no regard for human life. Sorry. I met him at ground zero, met him one more time. And I'm just giving you my instinct. I've dealt with a lot of murderers. So I have a good sense of murderers. I think he's extraordinarily intelligent. He's very cunning and in his own way, very charming. But don't lose sight of the fact that he's a dedicated killer without any kind of normal instinct with regard to the value of human life. He claims to be an Orthodox Christian. He's not. In fact, he's an embarrassment to Orthodox Christians, what he's done in Ukraine. And let's get the children back, huh? Let's get the children back that were kidnapped by the Russians and a part of their human trafficking ring, the Russian human trafficking ring. The lowest estimate that I've seen is 20,000 kids. That's a lot of children that are being tortured. This is nothing comforting about this at all. And the fact that Ukraine's got its own problems in terms of corruption, I can assure you, having spent a lot of time there, it's not the people. People are the victims of the oligarchs, including, unfortunately, little Zelensky. But you got to have balance in the world that's made up of a lot of bad people. There's bad and there's evil. Zelensky's like a lot of people at the upper level in Ukraine. But Putin is exceptional. And the faster the Russian people are rid of him, the faster they can move on also, because they've had one heck of a run, boy. The czars to the communists, and then him. Wow. Not much time to develop a tradition of humane treatment of people. Right? What a shame. And that reflects a little bit in Ukraine, because Ukraine has been on and off dominated by them. They would say Ukraine belongs to them. Ukraine would say they were forcibly and in a very authoritarian way taken over by them. So when you just look at how many Ukrainians Stalin killed, covered up by the UK, I don't know, they say 8 million. When you look at what's happening with the children, I'll leave you with this thought. And this is why this thing has to be ended. The taking of the children is a continuation of what Stalin was trying to do. And that is to wipe out Ukrainian ethnicity, to end it, which is what communists do. It's what they're trying to do to us. It's the reason for taking down our statues and our heroes and taking any hero of American history and finding something they did wrong and condemning them. It's a reason why we point out that America had slavery, but we don't point out that white men died to free black men in unbelievable numbers, like never happened anywhere else in the world. We do that because of the influence of Marxism, which in a determined way tries to wipe out your history, tries to wipe out your pride, tries to wipe out your culture, attempts to wipe out your civilization. And that's what they're doing to the Ukrainian people. A lot of these children that they take, they brainwash into becoming Russian automatons and haters of Ukraine, the ones they don't sell or use for sexual perversion. Okay. Well, this weekend, keep your eye on X so you can look at the Vitali Klitschko interview. I think it'll be very illuminating, very interesting. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll probably have a lot more of a feel for exactly what happened as we get the readout and are able to check with a lot of people. It's going to require a little digging because I think there's a process that's going on, and we have to see how hopeful it is. Hopefully it is hopeful. That's a heck of a sentence. Hopefully it's hopeful.
Right.
And also, today is the feast, and it's still today. Today is the feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Mother into heaven. It's a very important feast day in both the Catholic and the Orthodox religions. Might have originally been an Orthodox feast day, I'm not sure. Started in a church called the Dormition Church. It must have been an Orthodox church. So maybe a good idea to pray to her. You see the little statue back there? That's the statue of the Blessed Mother, Mother of Jesus Christ. She's looking over us. She's the one that warned us about the dangers of communism, the godless ideology. And it has a lot to do with why it's so evil, by the way. And it has a lot to do with why we're so lost, because we threw God out of, we've attempted to throw God out of America. And President Trump is trying to bring God back. Right. Nothing inconsistent with the First Amendment, which protects the free exercise of religion for a reason. Basically just says you can't establish the English church and you can't interfere with the free exercise of religion, because our founding fathers understood we need religion when we need God. If we're going to be honest about where we came from and where our obligations are the strongest. So Sunday, devote to a little prayer, and to your family. Today, before you go to bed, do a little reflection on the Blessed Mother. This is the feast of her being taken into heaven. So pray for the people of Ukraine for sure tonight. They don't deserve this. They don't deserve anything like this. They don't deserve their own political leadership. Hopefully someone like Vitali Klitschko, you watch him and you'll see hope for Ukraine. And pray for the people of Israel who've been so maligned and demeaned. Pray for the people of Iran who are living under the reign of terror. Pray for us. And pray for our president who's coming back from Alaska and working really, really hard to do the most important thing you can do, be a peacemaker, but also at the same time, continuing to move us in the direction of being a stronger, greater, and more decent country. So pray for President Trump. God bless America. We'll see you on Monday on Lindell TV and back on X. And check us out on the weekend on X. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,